All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Sunday's edition of How to Confuse a Home Inspector. I have presented the contractor management system a bunch of times. There was a whole segment on it at Inspection Super Conference 2020. There were segments on it at Inspection Super Conference 2021. I've had webinars on it. We've had demos. We have our account representatives there to guide you through the process. And yet, when somebody on this call, a home inspector, gets a solicitation from his own contractor management system, he does not know what it is, which is pretty fascinating when you think about it. So I'm going to go ahead and share a screen here. And we can start discussing this system from a different perspective, what it is actually meaning to your clients today as we have launched this. Okay, as we are now seeing results and we're making money for inspectors. It's building every single day. So let's start with the inspiration for tonight's chat, and that would be Steve Savis. I think I saw him on the line. Steve, you with us?
I am.
All right. So Steve posted in one of our groups about an experience he had or had started to have, and we can hear the rest of the story tonight. But basically, he had been solicited by himself for a new roof and then figured out that it was us. So let's go ahead and hear that the end of that story, or well, start from the beginning, because not everybody watches the Facebook groups all day long. So speak as close to your microphone as you're comfortable with, because I think you were a little light there, Steve, and go ahead.
All right.
Tell us what happened.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Good to see some familiar faces. What we've got is I opened my email on Sunday morning before church, and I see an email that there was hail damage in my neighborhood. And I open up the email and I see Inspector Services Group or Roof Management Team or what it was called. And it took me by surprise. I had no idea. Now, understand, when I started 12 years ago, I think I've been with Nathan almost 10 now. That's when I was getting the recall checks. And I did an inspection on my home, my personal property 10 years ago, and received an email 10 years later that there was hail damage, and they have an opportunity to help me get this claim taken care of. Now, just a little back history. Right before COVID, so 2.5, 3 years ago, I called my insurance because I went up there, saw hail damage, and they denied me. But they approved my rental a mile away. So I don't know how that happens, but anyway, so they denied me. So I'm sitting here with, I know, hail damage. Otherwise, so I posted online, of course, and got a lot of hits there. So that's good for you, Nathan. But it turns out that I didn't know anything about it. And I called on Monday, the following Monday, talked to Joe McGinnis, I think his name is. And he instructed me that they're there to help us file a claim, get a roof claim taken care of. He can get my contractor out there. He can pretty much set it all up. And I thought, oh, interesting. I had my hesitation because I'm a contractor. I got my own roofer and everything else. And I talked to Nathan, in all honesty. I talked to Nathan a little bit more about detail. And literally at the end of our conversation, I said, well, Nathan, say no more. I'm calling Joe because I want this done. I can't do what you are doing. I can't provide that kind of information to my insurance company. So I am going to move forward. I am moving forward and to see if I can get my claim taken care of through the program.
Well, and the worst case scenario, by the way, is that you end up in exactly the same position you are now.
Correct.
But I think what this event exposed, which is kind of a cool thing, that one of your first submissions, if not your first submission to the recall check system was your own house. A lot of inspectors test it that way. So here you go. For those of you that haven't done it yet, do your own house. And that way you get these monthly newsletters, updates on recalls in your own home. I've had many inspectors say they got a new appliance or a free appliance repair as a result of doing that. So not a bad idea. It takes about 3 minutes. We have this little recall check app thing you might be familiar with. So do that, submit your own house. And if you're participating in the contractor management system, which is remarkably easy to do, and I think after you watch this video, if you're not on the call, and after you have a chance to talk through any issues you might have tonight from a different perspective than before, I'm not going to repeat myself from the conference. I'm not going to demo the system. That's all available at inspectionsuccess.net/2020. If you want to go there, rewatch those videos, you can see all of that, and you can get a personal tour from your account rep at Inspector Services Group. So we don't need to go through those functions again. I will not be wasting your time if you've seen them before. Instead, we're going to take this different approach to the contractor management system in light of experiences that are starting to pile up, like Steve's, where he goes, wait a second, I'm in the business. I've been a contractor. I'm a home inspector. I know my stuff, and I even know roofers. I could probably deal with this issue pretty well, but for whatever reason, failed to on my primary residence. Nathan's systems did an amazing job of identifying that I had a potential insurance event, nailed the date, probably nailed the size of hail that you experienced as well, because the notification included that, did it not?
Yes.
Yep. So this is what we're doing for the information from the insurance industry and from the roofing industry and from the weather patterns that we can get. We're taking that and we're cross-referencing it with our database, as we did with you. Then we're working on a fulfillment strategy, which in your case was what you called, and I thought this was cool that you called it that in the group. You called it the RWS Storm Team. Now, after you did that, I had to go and create a logo, because like we just put it there as this like signature heading, but when you made a post, you made it something, it sounds super awesome. So, it deserves a logo.
Royalties?
Sure, absolutely. In fact, that's exactly what the system does for you. So, we go to the client with this approach in this particular funnel, which I will outline and show you how it's built here tonight. We go to them with an approach of how we can help them and help them get a claim approved. Now, even for the 0.1 percenters or the 1 percenters, depending on how you count them, Steve and everyone on this call is the 1 percenter. You're the person who doesn't need a referral to a roofer because you damn well know one. You're the person who doesn't really need someone to tell you whether you have a problem with your roof that involves an insurance damage, because you know how to look at that, and you probably you fill out paperwork for a living. So you're probably all right at figuring out how to get a claim through with your insurer. And yet still, having succeeded in all of that, a mile down the road, Steve can't get it done at his own house. And we identify the problem. We're going at it with a new approach and with a third party. And what is that third party called? They're called adjusters. I hope you were listening at our Inspection Super Conference 2021. And if you weren't there, you'll get a recording very soon. We're going to launch that on HIU quick. So moving on to this next slide. because these are the things that we need to cover in a different way than we have before. These are the components that go into what Steve experienced and what we'll be paying you guys. And I'm going to show you how to get the maximum benefit out of that. These are the 5 components. You have your contractor population. That is the big one. That is the whole game is won or lost there. It can still be lost after you win that part of the game, by the way. We've seen that with lots of .coms. Then you have the end user experience and the funnel, which we believe that between our knowledge and your knowledge, suggestions from our clients, amazing data sets that nobody else has from our clients, that we have the ability to build the most sensible funnels in the industry, and to make sure that they lead to positive client experiences. Then we have the reporting side of things. You know, we've already built it, but we'll talk about it a little bit here tonight. Then we have partners, which are becoming a bigger part of this and a way more important part of this than I thought when we launched it. And certainly than I thought when we started talking about it 3 years ago. If you go to Vegas 3 years ago, you will find we were talking about this project under a different name back then, and getting your feedback and building systems for it ever since. This was a multi-year build. Then we have the last component of this, which is one of my favorite components to anything, exclusion, because you know that's how you win. So let's it works in junior high, it works in business. Exclusion is a wonderful thing. Let's go to the contractor population piece first, because this is important to maximize your revenue generating opportunities. And if you're, you know, if you're kind of part of this movement thinking, man, you know, Nathan might have something that's good for us as inspectors here. We'd like to be a part of it for not just our own personal gain, but the gain of the industry. Then, you know, contractor population, again, you can't have the rest of it without that build. And so here's the ways that we're now populating that contractor base. The first is that inspector relationship, the thing that we've been pushing you guys for since we launched this thing officially. And that's as simple as adding contractors to the to your CMS system. And hopefully, again, you go to inspectionsuccess.net/2020 and see a demo of how to do that. This is the direct sales of your contract network. This is the thing that pays you directly. It's the thing that pays you the most. It's the thing you don't have to split with anybody other than, you know, our technology fee, which even that is waived when it is a controlled business, one of your own holdings. So a lot of our guys, even like top end clients that own multiple controlled businesses, haven't loaded many of them in here. It's insane. So I keep selling to my contractor network, which has a huge benefit to me. But you guys, you know, are building yours slower than it could be, particularly when you own the companies and there's no downside. Then we have those cross network relationships. Well, once again, that's the same thing as number one, except for allowing your competition to do it a little bit. And it's a co-opetition effort, but it has a different split. So keep that in mind. You know, you're splitting the fee on any particular job lead, et cetera, 50-50 before it ever hits your bank account. Then we have national partnerships. Those ones are bigger than we ever thought. We're adding them by the day. And you know, they're starting to work so well that they're coming to us. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Then we have the RWS contractor database, which we have historically not marketed much to, but we're launching this year 2 initiatives. One is to promote this contractor network and other jobs that are paying jobs that aren't necessarily a warranty claim, which helps us in establishing better relationships with them. One, establishing something that we're selling them, we're selling them jobs, not just our jobs, as well as our contractor software, which I'll show you a little piece of here later. And then that leads directly to our software and retailers. Those retailers are turning into partners of ours on the fulfillment side. And so are the software solutions. The biggest partner in the software side is one that we're a partner in. So that one was easy to convince. Next, this is the funnel rules. Before I get to the funnel that resulted in Steve getting another shot, another bite at the apple of an insurance claim on his whole new roof. These are the rules that we play by, and we've been stating it in many ways, but I thought I'd lay it out here very simply. The first rule for any funnel that we build is that the availability piece comes first. In other words, if there is not a contractor available, if there is not a reliable contractor available, then it's not an opportunity that the client sees. That's the first rule of this game, because 100% of the competition in the entirety of the lead space for contractors are going to higher priced contractors, by the way, which is another component here, but also contractors that are willing to be one of many leads or not at all. They can shut it off, and they do regularly. So the actual fulfillment from, Home Advisor and others like them is only about 40%. I would be ashamed of myself if I were to send anything to one of your clients that had a 40% effective rate. It's a non-option for us. Even if we could all make more money doing it, we're just, reputation is more important sometimes, and sleeping well at night. So then there's the no sales pitch approach, which it means that the messaging has to be subtle. Currently, 100% of the messaging I am doing personally until we have some good systems in place for that, because that's where the perception is won or lost. And wherever we can be indirect, which we'll show you some of those in our funnel examples here tonight, we'll do so. There also has to be no inspector conflicts. So one of the things that the system did, as an example leading to Steve's contact, was it went back into the system and said, hey, when did Steve inspect this? And who else might have inspected it? Did one of you on this call also inspect it at some point? And did all of those inspections happen prior to the suspected insurance claim date? If that isn't the case, it's not going to implement. So in other words, we're not going to do anything that would cause an inspector grief, or cause an inspector or their client a reason to come after them for damages. Okay. Then we have the money side of this. Every deal has to pay, but it has to pay appropriately. We're not looking for anything. In fact, we're definitely not going to write a deal where we make too much. I'm going to turn my lights on just a little bit here. There we go. If we make too much on a deal, it won't last. It won't be something that's sustainable. So at the same time, if we make too little on a deal, then it's not something that any of us are willing to deal with any potential downside risk of, even if low. And certainly we wouldn't be willing to take any actual risk if there was no money allowed here. And so that's part of every single deal. Then the last part, and this one is a little bit tougher. It really gets worked out in the surveys that come post job. Is it a deal? And when I say, is it a deal, I don't mean, is it the cheapest contractor in town? Is it the guy that's willing to get paid in beer cans? No, I just mean it can't be the guy that's out there ripping everybody off. That's going to come out, and it's going to be something that affects all of our reputation. So let's work out a funnel, the process, the flow on something simple: hail damage. And this isn't something that is present in every state, certainly, or at least not prevalent in every state. In some states, there's just hardly any, and some none. But for about 16 states, we have a pretty decent hail damage map, and we have it by the day for the last many, many years. And we run that every single day across that recall check database. And what we then do is we go through this flow. And this is the flow, again, that resulted in Steve getting a call and getting another bite at that apple of an insurance claim and a whole new roof. So the first thing that happened was there was an inspection, and it went into the recall check system, which started the newsletter, which started an ongoing customer relationship. And those the system upgrades over time allowed us to pull things like permits into the system and align them with the data set we already have, and certainly allowed us to bring in all of the insurance data that we could find, and we constantly update it. So then the second thing is that there's a hail event. Now that could be prior, it could be years ago, or it could be a new one that happens tomorrow. The minute it happens tomorrow, what does our system do with that new information now that it's all caught up? Well, it's going to run it against the database. It's going to make sure there are no inspector conflicts. It's going to make sure that we have a contractor, or that we have the ability to fulfill, and that we're getting paid appropriately for it. It's going to make sure of all of those things before a message goes out and says, hey, you had a 3/4 inch hail event on this date. We have a way to help you and determine for sure that you do in fact have a hail problem, or hail damage rather. And we can even help you get it through your insurer. So here's what we need you to do. We need you to, click this link, which tells us that you want us to engage as Steve Savas did. And then we reach out. And when we reach out on this one, it comes from our what Steve called our storm team, and what is in the signature line is storm team. We didn't think of it as being that formal, but now it's like they're a team, but they are a team. There's about 15 people on the quote storm team, and all they do all day is process insurance claims for recall check users, and they are reaching out to them, and they are it's all responsive. They're not reaching out to them and just calling somebody at random, by the way. They have to get the notification. They have to have a house that's qualified, have an inspection that's qualified, all of that stuff, and push the button and raise their hand and say, I want that help. And then they get somebody that calls them out of the gate. Our first project like this, first of many, we wanted to make sure that we had amazingly qualified people. And luckily, between myself and the operators of the call center, which is part of our software solution, I'll show you here in a little bit, is ran by myself and my cousin. And we've both been roofers, and we've both been insurance roofers, and we've dealt with insurance claims in big ways. In fact, he even came up with some of the roofing software that is utilized by roofers all over the country. And this next software that we've launched is doing very well. So then there's that consultation and confirmation, and we bring in that storm team, and then we go to the determination of how to implement a solution. So for Steve, he's in the Chicago market. We have a great network of roofers up there. We're going to have the whole thing bid. We're going to have a signature from Steve or the homeowner, alternatively, that says that, yeah, we'll be the contractor if we can get this insurance claim through. And then a contractor shows up to do the replacement as soon as it's approved, and we wait for the check from the insurance company, not the client. Putting that all together is not a small task. We are selling quite a few roofs every single week, and they pay. We'll go over how they pay here in a little bit. Then there's that claims notation. So afterwards, what updates are there in the system? What actionable information is there for both me and for you? So let's imagine that you have a client that is unhappy with you about something, and it's totally irrational, but it's roof related, and that roof was replaced. Not only do we know that it was replaced, we have record of it being replaced. Well, that's going to be right on your screen when you utilize the homeowners resource technical support, and it's going to be right on our screen when we're dealing with any claim situation, and it's going to be something we're aware of as your E&O provider. So all of this stuff integrated, there we go. Worse yet, what if the client says, oh, there's hail, there's damage. I have no interest in being any part of this. So I am going to go ahead and, not be a part of it. And I'm just going to not fix the roof. Okay, no problem. We're still going to note it in our system so that they can't come after you for a roof issue next year. Next up. So there's that repair communication. What happens then? Well, it gets reported back to the system. It's visible to you. It's visible to the contractor. They can see the results of everything that they do with the system. Then there's a fee calculation, which is a split. And if you've paid some attention to this contractor management system, you probably are going to hear this for the 15th time because everybody asks and they keep asking, but it's a 70-30 system split, and it's a 50-50 split on cross network, and a 100-0 no split at all on your controlled business. If there's any questions on that, feel free to bring them up. And so after that is calculated, then that's going to run a selection, see what you've selected, whether it's a credit to your account at ISG or a check, and that will go out. And then the repair or communication, even if there's no repair, get communicated back to the system for your viewing pleasure. And there's calculations that happen as a result of that for the next sequence. Look, if somebody has gotten an email from us, raised their hand, said, help me with that, and we reached out to them, they were pleased to hear from us. They were happy to hear from us. Even Steve Savis himself, and a home inspector and contractor, is happy to hear from our insurance adjuster on staff because of what we're doing for them. If that's the case, well, that's something that's going to be noted in the system and will change the way that that particular client's experience is on the next issue, the next funnel, the next thing that we have that can improve their home ownership experience. Now there's that last piece, this a couple pieces, partnerships and exclusions. So, in that contractor population piece, those last three sections, those national partnerships, the RWS contractor database, the software and retailers, that's really where these partnerships, can intersect with the contractor population. And this is some software that you can go out and check out for yourself. It's called One Click Contractor. This is our main contractor partner. And if you saw our press release featuring Elevate, that's another name for this exact software and some of the launches that we have for our clients that are upgrading from a major repair to a replacement of, say, a furnace or an air conditioner. So same thing, it's this system, and it's basically a CRM for contractors that does nothing but the sales process. In other words, it does nothing but present packages to buy: a new roofing package, a new deck, a new siding package, a new HVAC system, a kitchen remodel. Big jobs right there for the client to choose, finance, engage, schedule, and then all of that data goes over to their CRM. So they don't have to leave Service CEO or a FileMaker database or whatever it is they run their systems off of. So let's get to one fun part before we get into creativity questions and answers. And that would be excluded parties, because exclusion is fun. And so the first excluded party would be things today, and this is, not forever potentially, but things like Home Advisor, easy to exclude. They don't meet the quality level or standards for fulfillment that we have as a company and that you would expect. Like this whole system is built on a home inspector's son's version of what a home inspector would be okay with. and that is not one of them. And I think it takes away our differentiation. The thing that is driving national partners right now to sign up with us, and it's happening, is because we're delivering real leads, exclusive or semi-exclusive, and they're clients that are verified, like actual real people. And these contractors are sick of buying like fake robots from Google ads. They are just totally sick of it. So we don't want to be any part of that. We want to be, in fact, so far away from it that that we're identified as an alternative and a better one. Then there's other online sources. Well, again, below our fulfillment standards. I'm unfamiliar with any .com in the contractor fulfillment space that meets the standard of anyone on this call, any of my clients. And what are we here to deliver? A better experience for everyone, but also, risk reduction. And the best way to do that is to deliver a great contractor. Well, you can't do that without, one, making sure they're great. We'll talk about that in a second. But two, making sure they show up. And they're not showing up if you are signing up on any .com to say, I need a plumber. So then there's the leads from other sources. Well, this is something that's an inclusion, not an exclusion. It won't be something we exclude, in other words. It was, the question mark there is for discussion. At this point, our plan is to accept leads from other sources that make your contractor network, my contractor network, and both more valuable, but also deliver more, because we've met scale, we're able to deliver better for your clients, and kind of an if you build it, they will come mentality. So almost certainly we're going to have other lead sources come to us, and it's going to be up to us to vet them and say, oh, you're coming to us after Home Advisor devalued your leads. They're paying you less now. Now you're coming to us. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because your leads are shit and we don't want anything to do with it. That is a potential response. Another response is, wow, you have great leads that are being abused in these other programs. We can't wait to serve your clients very well. We have a wonderful network. It was built by home inspectors. And honestly, I'm only getting a little tiny piece of the action here. So if you'd like me to, I can introduce you to a local guy. But we'll see how those conversations go. Then there's the non-contractors. Well, we already have the insurance engine built. So be ready for our version of the insurance launch, which you can turn on and off in the CMS. There will be a benefit to it. We'll get to that on another day. But if you happen to be a crazy person that invested a lot of money in being an insurance agent somehow, feel free to load it in there, because it's controlled business. It's yours. You don't get billed for that. And if there's anyone that's going to build a lot of ways for you to sell more of it, it's going to be, well, me. So then we get into contractors who suck. Unfortunately, there's a lot of contractors that suck. Let's be honest. It's basically the exception to the sucky contractor that you find a great one and an available one, and one that doesn't, smell bad. And I'm not saying that as an insult to contractors, but rather just kind of a reality check. There are so many of them that people are going to run into the problem ones. It's a possibility that your perception of what a great contractor is might be different than your clients. It might be different than other inspectors in your market. And if we have a cross network platform, we won't kick anybody off of your network, but we do reserve the right to kick them off of the cross network. And that will be done based on the response to surveys. So just keep that in mind. We want to make sure that everybody has a high quality experience. And, you know, we can do that with insurance too. Let's give you some details. I can't wait to come out with those. I wanted to at Inspection Super Conference, but it was a little bit early. And I don't bring you guys stuff that's half baked. You know, it takes a worldwide epidemic, a pandemic, to take me off my game of delivering, and I'm referring to Breeze. So next, here's your flow. Again, this is that hail flow, and maybe you're on this call thinking, you know, what would be brilliant is, you know, Nathan seems to have this piece of information, or I could deliver Nathan this piece of information, and if he can build the bot that takes that piece of information, creates an event for this, you know, occurrence, something that makes the need relevant and real, and then provides a scalable solution to deliver it to the client, and then delivers it while making money for all of us in the process. And then even better yet, creates more actionable data moving forward. That is how you present an idea for this. And there's no bad ideas at this point. There are ideas that we might not invest the time in. There are ideas that might not be as good as, you know, you think, but they might inspire a whole different idea. So here is something for you to screenshot and send to me if you want to print out a few and have an idea session amongst yourselves or otherwise, or keep it with you if you're like one of those brilliant drinkers that, you know, that comes up with ideas whenever you start drinking. Have this with you, and then fill in, you know, the source info, the thing that triggers the event, how we're going to contact them as a result of that trigger, and what you see. I mean, again, this is just spitballing ideas. What you see is the fulfillment idea there that would be reasonable, and what it might be followed up by, so that we can all make money and deliver a better experience for clients. And before we get to, you know, kind of questions, answers, discussion, debate, fights, I'm okay with that. And by the way, if you want to really throw down, you got to turn your camera on so that it's extra hilarious to anyone watching. But, you know, here's one of those ideas where you can envision a funnel, and this is something that we're already building. Okay, we know the age of all the water heaters in the entirety of the recall check database. Think about that. That's a lot of water heaters. It's about, last time I checked, around 6.5, 7 million of them. Well, when we take that information off that model tag, we run it against a recall data. We also have been building the age. So if we know the age of a water heater and we know the type, and we can define a perfect replacement and define the best timing for a replacement, then why wouldn't we send out a similar notification to what Steve received about his hail damage? And maybe, you know, the year prior to the tank busting and flooding their second floor or basement. There's another option there, which is that upgrade to the tankless. That's going to be a bigger movement than it even is now. And as we gather more data from the roof data set, we're going to have the ability to some extent to be able to identify which houses are eligible for upgrades to tankless water heaters. And the only reason I bring up these kind of thought processes and the way that we're approaching this is because, again, one, relevance. You have a water heater that's about to blow up. Two, you happen to be in an area where if you upgrade that water heater to a tankless, you get X dollar benefit from the power company. Those exist. So, when we combine all of that, and then through a partnership with a certain retailer, perhaps, we're able to say not only that, but we know exactly how many gallons your water heater is. We know what type of water heater it is. We have a certified estimate for you. All you have to do is press this button and we will send somebody over to replace that water heater. So slick. And that's the only way that we would do it, is if it was that slick. Nobody's ever done it like this before. Home Advisor hasn't done this. Nobody with a .com has ever done this. Angie's List, sure as shit, has not done this, nor can they. None of them can. They don't have any real relationship with the clients. We have a huge open and read rate on the recall check newsletters. And we have people on this call that have tens of thousands of clients in that system. So anyway, here's another big one. And we've had discussions. We have people all the time come to us and say, we want to sell appliances to your people, and you know which appliances they have. So you have the measurements, you know how old they are, you know what a one-for-one replacement option would be. And we say, that's great. Tell us what you'd pay for that. And so far on this topic, on the appliance topic, the only benefit that we can see is extending the relationship with the client, maybe making a little bit of money, but not much. Appliances, that is just a sucky situation on margins already. And all of the major retailers feel like they're in a sales cannibalism situation. Like when I go to Best Buy and I talk to them, they said, we're already selling appliances to 30% of the replacements in that market anyway. Why would we pay you? So, that one's a bigger fish to fry. We talked about the roof and the hail damage, but really it's windows too, and storm and siding and overall storm damage. So these are all things that we can implement very quickly. We have the teams to do it. We have the people already qualified as adjusters to help get through claims. And now we get into claims that are types that happen where there is not a lot of hail, hurricane, wind damage, etc. Then here's some interesting stuff as you start thinking through these funnels. Mold remediation. Well, some of you are in the mold remediation business, and if you're not, you certainly know some mold remediators. That is an easy one to get into your contractor management system. What an easy way to populate them, right? And we have the just perfect system to determine when someone should be getting an offer to get a quote for mold remediation. And all of you are already using it. And we've been working on that and integrating those systems for a long time now. They're ready to go. We can pretty much immediately tell somebody whether they need to see a mold remediation person based on the data that we have already. And we have built one other funnel. So we have our roof funnel built. We have one other funnel built that's already working, and it is the radon mitigation funnel. So as soon as there's an indication from the Breeze radon monitors that there is a potential for high radon levels, it automatically starts making requests to the agents and the buyers and everybody involved for quotes, and to say, hey, we have radon mitigators in your area, and we have inspectors on this call that have already been paid cash by radon mitigators. And not much, by the way, not much, because that would suck. If we got paid a lot, we would, we wouldn't deliver for the client great deals. So I can tell you with absolute integrity that the radon mitigation bids that were delivered by, 2 contractors on a deal just last week, that those bids were reasonable. I take kind of a personal interest in those ones, and so far so good. So I am leaving the floor open to questions. I hope that we're getting closer to where people have an understanding of the contractor management system and where it's going. And maybe I didn't confuse everyone this time. I would love to get your feedback. So open mic.
Okay, I got a question, Nathan. It's Liz. When you're talking about the radon and someone is, okay, so it's our client who's got the high test, but it's the listing side who's going to mitigate typically. How do you get that information to them?
Well, we send it directly to the listing agent.
Oh, you're sending it to the listing agent. Okay.
Well, yeah. So in every funnel, and this is why we're at the precipice of something, folks, because you knew that, hey, listing agent's getting sucked into this one. And if the listing agent isn't getting sucked into this one, then it's escrowed or it's just credited at closing. And then it's still going to be something that the buyer's agent then is maybe referring, but maybe it's just something that they would rather have a quote already in hand for, which puts it right back on the listing agent. Of all the types of repairs, like that's the one that's most listing agent centric. How many times do you think a home advisor executive would ever answer that question correctly? They wouldn't. So of course our system goes directly to the listing agent on that, and it goes to the buyer's agent as well, just to tie it together and make sure that, it doesn't seem weird that we're only reaching out to the one party, considering the buyers, hired us. Yeah, so you're correct. Your aim is good.
And so on the other side of that, right on, let me think. It popped in my head. Oh, you said that the breeze pulls that information out. But what if you're not using a breeze? I mean, I'm using them, I'm ordering more and waiting. And so while I'm waiting, I'm using my other ones. Does that apply to them as well?
Well, I have good news on the waiting. For the first time in a month, Mr. Ethan got over 75 units out. So I am fine. Do you know how bad that has bugged me every day? I hate not delivering, but it will not be long for you. We're still, a little bit behind, but we'll get there. And we have some new processes that are making it much more automated and much quicker. So,
but can we get our other monitors manually uploaded so that the listing agent gets it on those orders too?
I don't have a problem with adding in that capability until the breeze monitors are set to go. The problem is automation, right? So if you're putting a picocuries per liter into the system, or for each property that has a high radon level, let's just say you only do it for those ones, that's still a process. At the very least, you're having to download some sort of Excel spreadsheet or CSV file and send it over to us. But I don't think that you have that capability. I think you'd have to have someone upload every single damn one, or at least go in and type out, what the end results were. So that sucks. I don't like that as a long-term solution, because because as you go back through this presentation, and hopefully the recording comes out pretty good, so that you can go back and review it and take screenshots and whatever. It's all very open and transparent. This video will definitely be shared with a lot of users, so expect that. It's not aimed to be shared with the whole world, just the users, but it'll probably hit some extras. As we look at these features, every single one of them is tiny. None of them are home runs. They're just base hits, and even half base hits, if that. And so the automation side is really important, because you can't invest any time in something that, this thing might pay you $10 a month. This thing might pay you $25 a month. This thing over here might pay you 70. You know, you add it all up, it ends up being something substantial, but each one is not going to be big enough, I'm afraid, to make that worth your while.
Nathan,
Yes.
is there a way to turn off one of these funnels if we don't want it?
Well, if you could just repeat that one more time, because you broke up just a little.
Is there a way to turn off one of these independent funnels if we didn't want that one?
For sure. Number one, all you have to do is ask. And you just asked. So good for you. Here's what I'm getting at with that is that there's no reason why we can't name the funnel, create a toggle that we can manage, because we don't want it to be out there for people to mess up and then call us and say, hey, why isn't this on? And we're like, because you turned it off, goofball, and it was one of your inspection managers or something. But we can certainly turn them off, and yeah, and we can tell you what each one is so that you know. But right now, just so you do, there's only two funnels. There is the hail damage funnel currently, and the breeze radon repair funnel, and neither one of them will run unless you have contractors available, by the way. So you either have contractors or you have cross network contractors. So I only have the cross network contractors for the roofing side. I don't have a cross network contractor yet, or some national deal for radon mitigation. So unless you have personally put in a radon mitigation company, that one isn't running anyway, if that was your concern.
Well, then we are, Nathan, Steve here. We are inserting our, let's say, RadaQuest. I'm inserting him into the inspection success. Where would I enter them for the contractor management system?
So I'm going to let you talk to your rep or go to inspectionsuccess.net/2020. But basically, I'll give you a quick way to do it. You just go into your system, go to the first menu under recallcheck.com after you log in, has an option for contractor management system. When you click on that, in the top left, there is an add a contractor feature, and you just put in the contractor's basic contact info there after you've had a little discussion with them, and make sure the numbers are right and press the button. By the way, one little thing, and then we got to go to Hank because he had his hand up. I had suggested some pricing, and there were some people that loved my suggestion. There were some people that were a little critical of it. But let me tell you what hasn't happened. We've had a few contractors drop off, but most of them have not. And when we're building something, when we're really changing the industry in the way that we are, it's really important that we don't have a false start. So as much as some of it might seem like a nominal figure to get, $30 for a quote request, or, $100 a month to be a part of your vendor list, including free advertising on your Recall Check newsletter to thousands of homeowners. I mean, you guys can deliver for contractors better than anybody, especially in your local markets. Yeah, those numbers don't seem big, but they're also ignorable. So if somebody isn't quite to the point where they have seen the return, and contractors are notoriously bad at tracking where their business comes from, then, they're still not going to turn it off. It's $30, it's $100. They're just not going to do it. Hank, to you.
This may end up being a private conversation with you, but our state laws are, I'm having an issue with other inspectors around here because we do cable and all that other stuff, and I get a referral fee, and our state laws don't allow us to do the referral fees. How does this fall outside of that? There's no time limit on our state law that says, after a year or 6 months or any of that sort of stuff. So how does that fall out of that state law?
Well, it falls out of it for in a number of different ways that are somewhat proprietary. I'll give you just a little bit of a hint, but there is no state where we are not prepared to defend vehemently our position on this, which is that a contractor can advertise with you. That has nothing to do with a referral fee. A contractor can pay for a client that is raising their hand in an independent system and say, I'm willing to pay to quote that person. That is not a referral fee. That is not you getting paid for success. And any enforceable law and the way that the Rhode Island law is written, I would argue is very easily interpreted this way. It's basically you can't get paid for someone fixing something. Well, that doesn't mean you can't get paid for existing. It doesn't mean you can't get paid as an advertising source. And you have one of the best advertising medias in your local market. It's the Recall Check newsletter. It has been for a long time. We're just taking advantage of what you already built, and you paid to do it. So tell them to come after you. They'll meet me.
Okay.
Liz.
Hey, is there a detailed list of information that we're supposed to talk to the contractors about? And I like what you said about the home advisor, but I don't know enough about home advisor to say, hey, you're not getting this with them, you're getting this with us. I don't know that information.
There's a simple PowerPoint that we've put out and a package for promoting to contractors. That was something that came from ISC 2020. Reach out to your account rep, Mike Dorr, et cetera, about that, and they'll dig it up. Let me give you a really basic way to present this, though, because you don't need to pull out a big PowerPoint to say the following. Because contractors already know. Here's what they know. They know that they overpay for Google Ads. They know that they not only overpay for Google Ads, but 1 in 1,000 people clicks. Then after the 1 in 1,000 people clicks, and only half of them, take any action like calling or filling out a form, Google very generously offers them the ability to pay again to remarket to those people that didn't call them. And if they skip the Google ads, if they decide not to be their own marketing agency or to hire one, then the simple way to get business is to go to a company like like Home Advisor that accumulates these folks that are looking for work. And when they do that, contractors know that they're paying for a lead that was shared with a lot of people, and they're paying a premium. And they can do the math. They know that a single client can sell for up to $200 across a bunch of different contractors, and it can be a fake person. Your people are not fake. They're 100% legitimate and real, and they are your clients that are receiving those recall check reports, and you're charging a very reasonable fee. $30-$35 for a quote request. That's nothing. That's nothing to these guys. And especially when it's exclusive or semi-exclusive, and our system will never allow more than 3 parties. Even if you load up 3 contractors, will not allow more than 3 parties to receive an individual's information. And there's no remarketing allowed. One of the many reasons we won't deal with a home advisor. They don't meet our standards in so many ways. Mike Marlowe, I'm coming to you. And I'm. It's not that I don't love the follow-ups on every single one. If you could put your hand down for me after we chat, unless you need me to come back to you, in which case, leave your hand up. I'll come back to you. Mike Marlowe.
Right, Nathan. Hey, you mentioned that you had funnels or something that you were sending to contractors to recruit them. Is that something you can share?
I don't know that I said those exact words. I said I have a PowerPoint, essentially a deck that I had presented at Inspection Super Conference 2020. And that deck is open and available and free for all of you.
Okay.
Now,
yeah, I thought it was.
Now, should there be something that, some awesome video that explains it and gives them a reason to just, talk to their local, I don't know what we call you guys. I think we have to come up with like a name, talk to your local, dude.
Coordinators.
Yeah, sure. But maybe to have Wally do one to like a fictitious contractor, a contractor that is fictitiously watching. That would be interesting. And I think a value to all of you guys, because then you could just share it along with a request to that anybody that's interested just email you. That'd be an easy social media post. Everybody that knew a plumber, they might grab onto it and share it with them. So
If you want to know the process, put yourself in recall check as a contractor and see what the process is.
that's true too. You can do that. But our intention with that was that you've already presented to the contractor all their reasons for being there. Right? You're putting in somebody who's interested, not just, dumping a list of contractors in there. If we wanted to dump a list of contractors in there, I would have already done it.
But even at that, if you want to know how the process works, you should put your name in there so you're familiar with it.
Yes, definitely. So on to next thing. I don't know if that I have any other hands up. So anyone who wants to talk, go for it. Not one.
Nathan, I had a quick question.
Oh, look who it is. It's Istvan, everyone.
It
Hello.
is.
Well, welcome from New Mexico.
Thank you. I was, when you talked about the one-click contractor and you're kind of working with them, integrating with them, are they offering or could they offer any like leads on, contractors they're working with? If we don't have contractors in a certain area, like say we didn't have a plumber on our CMS yet, would they be able to provide any?
Well, there's a couple of features that are doing what you're talking about. Okay. And then this was actually, I kind of had this slide up to explain this phenomenon. So if someone is a retail partner of ours that may sell, a lot of water heaters and install a lot of water heaters, and may very well give us access to that, pro network. Well, that's just a cross network contractor, right? We're going to dump them in there.
Room coach.
What's that? Oh, Dave Park. I think he's yelling at someone in his home. That's great. That is solved with the cross network issue, Istvan. So, if I bring a national partner, like Overhead Door or GAF or, a national retailer, I would put them in there. If I brought one of my contractors that was in our warranty network and they said, yeah, sure, I'll take leads from a local home inspector. Sure. Well, if I put them in there, it's just a cross network opportunity. Does that make sense to you?
That does. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And by the way, if you go and make a deal with, we opened up the door to something here that, guys like you and guys like Wally and people that like to do the networking and sit around with a whiskey sort of situation might take advantage of if you're in the right place at the right time. And that would be that you have these contractor networks that maybe you're familiar with. Well, sign up a national one. All you have to do is take that national one, refer them. It has to be a damn warm referral. Okay. I mean, hot, like blazing hot. Refer them directly to me for now, because I don't have another dude to do it. And I'll load them into the system nationwide. And now you are the cross network recipient. You split the fees with the direct referral source.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Thank you.
An amazing opportunity, really, if somebody listening to this call that goes, I know a guy that is a franchisor of mold treatments, as an example. And there may be a franchisor of a major remediation company that is coming soon to the list. We still have people joining the call, which is kind of ridiculous. If you're joining the call just now, there will be a recording posted. Okay, we're not going to go back. And I have to check out in 7 minutes. So last couple thoughts, debates, arguments, insults. Anyone have any of the above? No,
I think you
not
covered a
single
lot of good
insult?
stuff.
Oh,
You need a new angle on your camera. I can see up your nose. How's that?
well, I was shaving it earlier. I mean, with one of those rotary things, because I'm 40 now. Yeah.
No, but
Uh,
I think I'm glad you keep bringing it to us because I keep sitting on it. You answered a lot of the questions of the things that I've been sitting on. Perfect.
I'm down here with Frank now.
Hey, Nathan, I
Um,
have a technical question.
Yes.
How do you get a scratch on your screen on your PowerPoint presentation? It's
Oh
on
my
every
God.
slide.
Thank you. I've been checking my screen that it was broken. I thought it was mine.
I thought it was a string.
Okay, so funny you should mention that. I bought new expansion screens like last week, and for about 5 minutes after that showed up, I was like, son of a bitch. I just bought this monitor and I thought it was on my monitor. It's from me going over and with my mouse accidentally pressing it.
Erasing.
Yeah, I was drawing on the PowerPoint slide, which you can do in presenter view, and
Okay.
I forgot how to erase it.
It's on all your screens though.
Yeah.
I think the erase button for that is underneath my Zoom controls, unfortunately. So I can't touch those. Anyway, next, last chance.
Nathan,
Yes,
probably
sir.
a little off topic.
Go for it.
So I take it we should all be expecting when warranty claims come in for roofs that have been installed by a national partner that might be a big blue box, those calls will be coming to top members first if they're in our area.
Well, okay, so when I think you're referring to warranty consultations, right? So if I get a warranty claim on a roof, by the way, it's not just limited to roofs. If I get a claim on a roof, on siding, on windows, there is a whole list of stuff coming down the pike that has never been before. And when I get that claim, if there's a need, which there often will be, especially when we're looking for a manufacturer's defect, an installation defect, et cetera. It's not just a simple repair that we send you out. Well, yes, we'll be sending you out. Does that mean that it goes to you first? Maybe. We'll see how big it gets. It really depends on the amount of jobs that occur and the ability and availability for you to take them on. So, tomorrow, let me just tell you just very honestly where I would be tomorrow on that issue. And I'm sure we're going to confuse the hell out of anyone watching this now. But if you don't understand the opportunity I'm referring to, well, you're behind. Be like Fred and everyone else on this call. So if I got a call tomorrow, what I would do is I would pull all of everyone that is within 30 miles of that location. And let's just say that you were within that 30 miles. Well, you're going to get a notification the same as they are. And then it's up to you to confirm that you are taking on that job first. And the good news is that you and others on this call and clients in our, let's call it top 30% now, are clients that have administrative people, they have call centers, they have people that are ready to press that button right away. So is it exclusive to you? No, but by default, you end up getting most of them. Our job at that point and our responsibility, unfortunately, will be to process that claim very quickly and get someone out immediately. I don't know that we're going to be able to stop and think about exclusivity at this juncture and at this scale. But it's a good thought. And Fred was bringing up some future business for home inspectors, the warranty claims assisters, the consultants, the on-site analysis that we will, of course, always hire inspectors to do. They're an objective third party. And if you happen to be someone who stumbled onto this YouTube video and had the unfortunate experience of listening to all of this, just know that our warranty services will always include a third party objective view. And if you ever have a project done at your house, or you have a dispute with a manufacturer, do what I've always been able to do with a father home inspector, and call your local home inspector. That's a really good source, and not something I wanted to miss an opportunity to plug there. So I think that's it for tonight. Fred, thank you for that question. Thank you, everyone who participated this evening, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Enjoy your evening.
Yep.